We're back! Welcome, everybody. It's the Watchpoint Post-Show live from the Blizzard Arena in Los Angeles, California. We had an insane day of action here to kick off week 2 in stage 3. Hi, I'm Chris Puckett. I got my whole team. We've got Zoe, we've got Brad, we've got Josh, and honestly, it's kind of early for what feels like one of the most jam-packed days of Overwatch gameplay that we have seen.
I mean, honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that this very last series didn't go to map 5 as well. It could have been.
It
Yeah,
could
that could have
easily
happened.
been.
So how many game 5s was that today?
At least 2.
Feels like all of them.
Yeah, let's start with the match that we just saw here today, Bren. It was the Vancouver Titans, who we all know have not dropped a match yet in the regular season. But coming into the half, it was all tied up one apiece.
Yeah, and we said in the Watchpoint pre-show today, if there was ever a chance of the Vancouver Titans losing in Stage 3, it would be probably this match here, if not the final match of their Stage 3 schedule, which is against the Gladiators. But it was a close match to begin with. You know, we started up the 1-1, the half, and then kind of, again, backwards and forwards when it came to Numbani. But too little, too late. I'm going to throw it off because the game's quiet in my ears.
Honestly, I don't think the Vancouver Titans deserve to win this match. I think they should have lost this. They had to clutch on Numbani. They had to clutch on Havana. They played worse Overwatch than the Spark throughout this series. I think the Spark were wrong.
I wouldn't, on Havana, I wouldn't even call it Vancouver clutched. I think it was more a matter of Spark kind of throwing it than them clutching it. I do not think that the very end was very well done by the Spark.
Yeah.
He landed, I mean, we saw a 4K EMP coming out from Spark, but then the follow-up was just quite not there. So at the very end, it didn't really go their way.
So walk me through the Savannah, Zoe, because this is where the Spark were threatening to force that game 5.
Yeah, and it looked really, really good. They were able to hold the Vancouver away from point 1, and there were a lot of moments where it kind of almost looked like they're having it, but they played really, really, really well. Made a lot of switches. Also, Gotsby in the end, I think was he on Hammond? Did
He was
I
on
see
Wrecking
that
Ball
right?
for a little bit, yeah, because they thought that they'd be able to win the fight with like a minute left. So he switches over to the Wrecking Ball and then has to switch back to the Zarya.
Yeah, but that was like in the last 40 seconds, he
Yeah.
switched back to the Zarya.
idea.
That was, yeah.
It was a real close one, but I think if the Hangzhou Spark had maybe a little more mental presence towards the end of those final fights, they would have probably been able to push it across the line. But at the end of the day, that is what makes the Titans such a ridiculous team to go up against. I said when I was watching the game live, that's what makes their winning streak happen, is that even when there should be games that they lose, they win them anyway.
Side note, take a look next time you're watching some highlights at the whip shot animation in slow motion. Looks
very nice.
Good. Well done to the animator at the Overwatch League dev development team.
Yeah, just handing out awards to the dev team now.
I noticed it during that playlist, and it looks cool.
Why?
Brett has been
cool?
inspired
What
today to
happened?
spread positivity. That
Yes.
is your third random compliment that we have heard on a pre or post show today. Excellent work, Brett. I bet you can get 4-ing. Let's go to the next match, shall we?
Moving on, moving on.
The biggest upset of the day came from a 3-12 Houston Outlaws squad when they matched up against our Stage 2 champs and the team that didn't drop a single map in Stage 2.
Fair play.
Let's go Shock.
Fair play to Raucus, actually. This is a guy who gets a lot of flack online. I felt like he had some fantastic moments in this series here.
His Ana is very good. It always has been.
Yeah.
Much better than his Zen, I think.
Yeah, but it was also his team enabling him. I think we talked about this in halftime. I think they created a lot of space for that Ana to hit the nades, etc., which just allowed him to do what they're good at. I was very surprised to see the Doomfist Sombra combo working. I actually didn't expect this to be working so well against an experienced team such as the San Francisco.
Was that the Element Mystic combo that we were expecting to see, Josh?
Yes, yeah, it was. And I think it works particularly well on that specific round of Nepal. Element Mystic, I've criticized them in the past. This is a team in contenders for anyone who's unaware, who runs that composition all the time. Probably the best team outside of the Overwatch League. But they run it all over the place. But what I loved about Houston was they picked strategies specifically for the map. And Eichenwald, the middle two maps here were just rolls because Houston didn't really have strategies that worked well. They tried to match them with the triple tank here. You're going to lose that against the San Francisco shot most of the time. And they had a set strat for Horizon, but it fell flat. But afterwards, I mean, they picked it straight back up. And what I love here is that Houston didn't get tilted by getting destroyed on Eichenwald. This is a team that we know normally chokes in big games.
Yeah.
They get to map 5 and they fail. And this time, even though they've been crushed on Horizon and Eichenwald, they got their heads straight back in this series.
It was beautiful to watch, actually, when this series finished up, because all of the players were beaming when they were moving back into the
I've ever
corridor.
seen the Outlaws.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
I saw Flame smile for the first time in months.
Again, and I heard the birth of 1,000 new puppies at that moment, because it was unreal. It's like life was given to the earth.
I was just amazed by how shocked that the Outlaws players were that they actually pulled off the upset. The question I have is, can you replicate this in your next match tomorrow if you're Houston? Did you learn enough today to think that this team has what it takes to win again?
I think the biggest takeaway from the Outlaws just has to be play to your strength. Something which just can't be repeated enough. And they said it themselves. They initially didn't plan on bringing Dante back on that very last map here.
They've never played this roster or this comp
Exactly,
before.
they haven't, but they decided like, hey, this is working for us. Like, we're actually winning the team fights, we're actually winning the maps when we're running this, and so they went with it. They followed their hearts, and it worked. It was beautiful.
I was talking to Cool Matt on the walk in today. I asked him how are things going. He said, actually, things are looking up. We're actually working well together. We feel good about things. They were in a slump throughout Stage 2, did not win a single match. Today, they pull off one of the biggest upsets of the year.
Yeah, and I think also you have to start asking questions. As much as you big up the Outlaws, you got to start asking questions about the Shock now, because they didn't look great when they played against Atlanta, very scrappy. Then they lose to the Houston Outlaws, who were 3-12, and some people had them at like the bottom of their power rankings. The Shock are not looking like they're in a great place as well.
The Shock definitely frustrated today, and at the end of Stage 2, Super joined us here at the desk and had some strong opinions about the use of Sombra in the 3-3 meta.
I just think, it's kind of a crutch. I'm going to be honest. If you use Sombra, you're just admitting that you're an inferior 3-3 and you need to cheese someone to a victory. I'm just going to say that. Because Goats actually requires teamwork. And Sombra, you just EMP and win the fight. So we're going to go back into practice. We're going to clean up our play, and we're going to make sure that the Sombra gets less value than she did today.
All right, that was several weeks ago. And since then, San Francisco has had some rough matches. Of course, they get the win in week 1. Here they get another game 5, but it's a loss this time around. Is this an issue for San Francisco moving forward? Do they have an answer to a Sombra, or is this something that everyone can use against them in stage 3?
I mean, they have to find an answer now that we're looking at the other top teams such as New York as well as Vancouver trying to implement more Sombra in their play. Like, this is where it gets really dangerous for the San Francisco Shock. So they have to start figuring this one out.
Something I find really interesting about the Shock is that most teams would have strategies that revolve around their flex support. You tend not to want to be playing the Zenyatta as much. So we've seen a little bit of Moira, but what I wonder is, where is the Ana? Ana's a great hero for playing against Sombra Goats because they don't have the Diva to be able to eat your sleep, your bio nades, and also the Nano Boost is just more useful than Trance because you can save people from very far away and avoid EMP. Look at how little Violet plays Ana. He basically only plays Zenyatta. Now there's the league average, 16%, but specifically against Sombra, I think it's a great pick. And Twilight is currently the leader in terms of the league in his Ana usage. Plays it almost a quarter of the time. And he is great at being able to put Bumper in really aggressive positions and then save him when he gets EMP'd by nano boosting him. And you don't have to be close to the rest of your team as Ana because you just heal them from miles away. You have to be much closer if you want to use that Transcendence to save people. So you end up getting caught in this situation where you get an EMP'd because you're just hiding around a corner. And that's what happened to Violet over and over and over again.
To go back to the earlier question, I don't think this is going to be an issue for Shock moving forward because they've proven that they can beat teams that are very proficient at running the Sombra compositions, right? Shanghai Dragons, they used to scrim against this team. I believe they still do on a regular basis.
Those are not on the same level as, let's say, New York or the Vancouver Titans are. Now imagine those two teams playing Sombra on a really high level.
I would argue that the Shanghai Dragons play Sombra at a higher level than those teams.
The Sombra, yes, but the rest of the team isn't on the same level.
And they haven't been practicing it. I think Zoe's got a great point because if New York puts in the time, then they could be a better team, right?
Exactly.
Well, we'll definitely be talking a lot about Sombra throughout the rest of this post show. More of that coming up when we talk about Shanghai in a minute. We've got a lot more Overwatch action coming up after the break, but before we go, can we just relive the final moments here? This is Houston losing their business after the victory over San Francisco.
We got the grab. Wait, not over.
Let's go!
Dude. Never mind. I don't care if you're sick. Give me a hug, dude. Woo!
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The closest matchup in the standings today was between the Shanghai Dragons and the Atlanta Reign, and this one was a doozy, friends. We went the distance all the way to a Game 5, and coming into the day, Josh, you said that Shanghai is number 4 in your power rankings right now. Where did you have Atlanta?
Atlanta are a weird team because they haven't really played against a lot of the other middle-of-the-pack teams, so they've only had great performances against the better teams. So I find it very difficult to rank them, actually. But having watched this game, again, this is one that Shanghai were lucky to win.
Yeah, it comes down to something that I said in the pre-show, believe it or not. Once again, coming out with absolute bangers of information, infinite wisdom. Again, Johnny, I'm coming for your title, lad. But it comes down to the fact that the biggest boon right now, I feel like, for the Atlanta Reign is their coaching staff. and how well they come into matches prepared with win conditions in mind on how to win. Now, a lot of the time it feels like they do just kind of lose that. They collapse a little bit at the tail end of the series. Didn't happen today. They kept it going. Dako kept playing phenomenally well against Ding on the Sombra. Again, keeping him in check, not letting him get as much value as he usually does. A really good show from Atlanta moving forward. And I gotta say, pleasantly surprised now that we're just seeing improvements out of these teams. Because for the longest times, I thought we were going to be left with some potatoes of teams, you know?
Oh, no, we got the potatoes at the bottom of the league. Don't worry about
Definitely there. They'll be here later this week. But so let's talk a little bit about this Shanghai squad, because we've talked a lot about Atlanta. Shanghai walked away with the victory today. In the win, what were some of the best moments for you? Where are their strengths?
I mean, their strength is very clearly in their DPS lineup here. Ding on his Sombra as well as his Pharah. Those are the big playmakers, and this is the biggest threat for everyone who's facing off against him. So everyone is aware of that and has to try their darnest to actually shut it down. I think Dako did a very good job today, as well as Erster, who played really well. Masa impressed me from the Atlanta Reign, who also managed to, you know, put the Shanghai Dragons in certain positions where they just couldn't quite get it done. But overall, Shanghai Dragons, I think they really turned it up on that last map and made it look one-sided again at the very, very tail end of things.
Yeah, but apart from that final map, I was looking at Atlanta and thinking, you're doing a much better job than the San Francisco Shock were of being able to deal with the Sombra. They actually had a better strategy coming in and a more crafted
yeah, it wasn't just a reactionary kind of scenario where they're like, oh, I guess we have to deal with it. It looked prepared, and that really worked for them.
Can you break that down for the gold players and the plats like myself, who I just got back into plat, by the way.
Congratulations.
I was hanging out with Zoe. Hey, sorry, Zoe, I brought you down with me. Can you break that down, though? You said that Shanghai had a much better strategy of dealing with the Sombra.
Well,
what
Atlanta,
in particular?
yeah.
Or Atlanta, excuse me.
So, well, a couple of things. So, for example, I was a big fan of how Erster was playing throughout this series. So, when he's playing the Brigitte, he likes to play very tight alongside Dogman. And so, he's always got the shield up to avoid Dogman getting hurt. So, he's playing like a little bit of a bodyguard. And then they were spamming a lot of the regular routes that you see Sombra's coming through. So, Ding was finding it hard to even approach because he was getting caught out of
Too many spy checks.
Yeah, and then Dako also is putting a lot of pressure on him. And they have this tailored strategy where they move Erster over to Ana. So like I was saying with the San Francisco Shock, where I was saying, where is the Ana? They actually have their Brigitte switch over to Ana, which we've seen a couple of times from a couple of teams. Like Architect used to do it for the Shock. So kind of the totality of these various things they were doing to change their playstyle up, like playing more aggressive, checking for the Sombra, making sure you pressure her, having this crafted strategy where you put in the Ana. Shock were doing very few of those things, and they were kind of leaving it wide open for Dante.
Excellent answer. Joshua Wilkinson, everybody. Follow him on Twitter at Sideshow Gaming. Let's move this on. We got one more to talk about, and this one didn't have a whole lot of Sombra play. It was the Dallas Fuel matching up against the Chengdu Hunters, and as we know, Jinmu is a god.
Hey, he's pretty good, you know, but do you know who's better?
Flashbang of the year right here.
Yang Zhaolong. There we go. 1, 2, 3.
How many?
Caught him out. That was actually 4 people he caught with the flashbang there. Beautiful stuff. I can't count.
It's all right. It's a high number.
Is Jinmu a better Pharah than Ding?
No, come off it. Don't give me this. Ding is so good on Pharah.
He hit 4 shots while being hacked on the ground. All headshots, by the way.
I mean, Jinmu's fantastic, but I think they did a good job, actually, of being able to stop Jinmu from being able to play his best game on Pharah throughout this. But Dallas didn't really have a response for a lot of the other stuff that Chengdu were throwing at them, and they go up against them later on as well. There's a rematch in a couple of weeks, so the Dallas Fuel coaching staff have got to be going back and looking at this one and figuring out what went wrong.
I'm a little bit disappointed with Dallas's performance overall. I mean, you know, you're going up against Chengdu. Yes, Chengdu had fixed up a lot of their errors. They weren't running Jiqiren. They're staying to their strengths again, exclusively running Eamon. But at the same time, you got to be expecting more from Dallas, especially when we saw such a high peak from them as well. Even at the homestand game, I mean, it felt like they just came alive. They obviously they did, because when you got 4,500 fans screaming at you, I mean, I think anything's possible. But I just expect a little bit more, and it is disappointing to see that they've kind of had this fall from grace.
I think also, though, they had a few tailored strategies, like the compositions you're seeing them run here, where Zachary's playing the Hanzo, and they've got either double sniper or a bunch of different stuff to try and counter what Chengdu are running. They've now had the opportunity to test these things, see what worked, see what didn't work. And these are always the interesting parts when you have a rematch a couple of games down the line, because there isn't that much time for Chengdu to change what they're doing because they didn't have anything that particularly failed that hard. But for Dallas, they can come in with a whole different game plan and test it out and see what works. So I would expect something fairly different from Dallas in their rematch.
Jim is so good, isn't he?
Does Chengdu have to mix anything up in that rematch, or can you just run exactly what you ran against Dallas today?
I mean, why change a working system, right? They have shown in the past, in fact, that they can run 3-3 if they really have to. Specifically, I think against the Vancouver Titans, that worked out pretty good for them, oddly enough. And other than that, their quad DPS looks good, their Sombra goats looks good. I think Hunters are actually in a pretty decent spot. I was just a little bit surprised that when they started mixing it up, it wasn't very successful.
Well, I have good news for Dallas fans. If you're sad about today's loss, don't worry. You get another chance against Chengdu in the match of the week for week 3. When we come back, guys, we're talking. It's the best moments of the day. It's over the top right here on the Watchpoint Post Show.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Jake still applying the pressure from on high as well. And this is going to be the Houston Outlaws really trying to crank it up as Laser once again gets to show us what he's capable of with a mechanical hero. Finland's gift to Esports strikes again!
No, he has the shatter. No one would expect that. No one would expect the shatter right now.
Nobody expects the shatter from behind. There it is again. Popo down already. Maybe they soon to follow, and you'll take that every time, man. Part being brought up at the moment. Space. Oh, the sleep dart!
All you need is J-Hawk!
Oh boy! Now just gonna be looking for him. Armor pack coming through with the pin set from Marvel. They take him down. J-Hawk. There's another one. Now Rio taking a nap.
Who needs trance for Sombra when you've got sleep?
Time now is gonna take down faster and faster, but Ochi maybe extends a little bit too fast. Channel from Raw. It is big. It is just what the doctor ordered. And the Dallas Fuel need to have one on speed dial right now because they are hurt.
This one is on a razor's edge here, but the sustain up front from Paris still looking good. Gray with the switch.
Oh, Gray with the clutch. Headshot on Ivy 2. God goes down.
Get the camera. It's the best part of the day. It's over the top, and here we go, number 5, Mazda. Yes, Lucio's are important, guys. The Earth Shatter lands on all of his teammates. Not only does he boop the run, he drops the barrier, protecting the squad and keeping the rain in the game.
Massa posted today on Twitter after this game, GG, I fed. But, I mean, he had some good moments, honestly, in this series. I think, again, a lot of the success from Atlanta can be attributed to a lot of the aggressive plays, I mean, that he makes himself. It's risky, but when it works, it works.
I like that. Healers continue in our top 5 today. Here is Unko at number 4. Look at this beautiful sleep dart. One of many he landed on a flying Jinmu.
He can't even see him when he shoots the shot. He literally doesn't even know that he's approaching. Or rather,
Does he not,
he knows he's approaching, but he can't see him behind the
I like the
wall.
slow.
And that's a 12-second cooldown if you miss your shot. Aggressive shot pays dividends there for Dallas as they went on to lose the game. Let's move on to number 3. It's Jinmu back, this time on the winning side of a fight. He brings out my favorite hero of all time, and he puts him to use. Well done, Jinmu. I'm glad you watched the All-Star game.
Almost looked as good as when you play him.
Almost.
But, yeah, he got really, really close.
Except I only punch Reinhardt. He comes after the squishies.
I hear you taught him everything he knows.
I did. Number 2, is this not the best kill of the day?
This is fantastic.
This is so good.
Yeah, are you resin closer? No, you're not resin, buddy. The Battle Mercy coming out. Haven't seen this since
I mean, that blaster does a lot of damage. I think a lot of people actually really underestimate it.
I called it earlier that he denied the res, but he didn't. So actually not that good.
Josh is a liar. Let's move on. Number 1.
Don't.
Josh, you had to do that while we're still in the top 5. Number 1 play of the day. It's gotta be everyone from Houston contributing to one of the biggest upsets. Where does this rank, guys? Biggest upset of of the season.
I mean, as well, Dante got a win against his former team as well, which we didn't talk about.
This was just super wholesome as a whole, and I think that this team deserves it. They put in so much work, and they went through a really, really rocky time, so I'm so very happy for them.
To answer your question, though, Puckett, this is the biggest upset of the season. Previously, it was Atlanta over New York. This is definitely bigger.
That's what I thought right there. Houston back on the map with a big win, only their 4th of the season. But let's check in with our Twitch bits. At the top, it's always the Rain Soul at number 10. Not a whole lot of movement there. Houston and Dallas in your top 5. What's up, Texas? But when it comes to the individuals, Zoe, do us the honors.
Oh,
who are your favorite people?
Way to mispronounce names. Matthew Chasm snuck into the top 10. Congratulations.
By 1 bit.
By one bit.
Matthew,
He's
well done.
it.
A pip to the post.
Yeah, also very proud of Cobra on 93 Stang.
Can we give a shout out to a rich guy in the number 6 spot, Hastro, aka owner of the Dallas Fuel. What's up, Stro? Thanks for dropping the bits. Right?
Flexing in the Twitch.
He's like, I'm watching with my baby. Might as well drop 10,000 bits off. That's my Stro impression for some reason. Guys,
pretty good.
keep them bits coming. And of course, if you're on Twitch already, why don't you just click that All Access Pass button? It's a great deal because you're going to get special content, like an incredible Q&A with IDK from the Hangzhou Spark. He's on the show exclusively on twitch.tv after the post show. I swallowed that spit. Let's go. Break time, we come back. We got a big day in store for you. It's Friday here in the Blizzard Arena. 4 great matches. We'll tell you all about them on the other side of the break.
Bye. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
And we are back. We're going to head to tomorrow. 4 great matches, starting with Paris Eternal taking on the NYXL. Toronto Defiant facing off against the boys from 1. And we got the Uprising taking on the Red Hot Outlaws. And the Gladiators will fight against the Fusion to help keep their spot in the top 5. Let's talk about these matches. Starting with you, Zoe. Which match are you most fired up for?
I want to see the Houston Outlaws. I want to see if they can ride that momentum. And also, I want to see if the Boston Uprising will manage to, pick it back up as they have been going through a little bit of a slump.
I like that call. I like that call. Houston on the rise right now. Brenji, which match are you watching?
Oh, boy. I'm going to be looking at that Toronto Defiant versus London for this one, but I'm going to be paying attention to the little matchup in between. I want to see the boy, the myth, the man, the legend. He's both a boy and a man. His name's Gods. And his head, his forehead, might be bigger than ours. And that, I think, again,
his forehead is infinite.
It is infinite. It is infinite. And I mean, it's only a good thing. Remember, talent is directly proportional with the size of your forehead. We've come
I
to
don't
this
think-
conclusion.
I've always said
And
that.
we're moving on. Josh, it's your turn to talk.
What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to seeing whether Dante, in particular from the Houston Outlaws, can continue having such a huge amount of success. He was really pivotal in their victory today. We know that he's a fantastic Sombra from last season. I want to see if they can start building momentum and push him into being one of the people we talk about as maybe the best Sombras around.
Some big games tomorrow. The Watchpoint pre-show is going to kick off at 3:30 Pacific. Before we go, so you've been creeping us out during commercials all day long. Say goodbye to our friends.
I can't do it.
Do it.
Come on.
Do it.
What? Goodbye?
Yeah.
Houston, we'll see you then.